everybody. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Daniel.
And I'm Kaan. Today we're going to be talking about something everybody loves, tacos.
But instead of just talking about food, we're talking about something more significant. How did tacos impact the United States over time?
At first glance, tacos look like a pretty simple food. It's basically just a tortilla with food wrapped inside it, like meat, beans, and cheese.
But once you learn the history of tacos, you can see how it relates to immigration, culture, and business.
This idea makes sense in the context of migration, because people often bring food traditions with them when they move to new places.
So when communities migrate, they bring their food traditions and recipes with them wherever they go.
And the food can be altered depending on where it's made and the available ingredients in the area.
And that's basically what happened with tacos in the U.S.
Nowadays, tacos are everywhere. Fast food places, food trucks, and regular restaurants all serve tacos.
But tacos weren't originally invented in the United States. Their history actually begins in Mexico.
So, in this episode, we're going to talk about the history of tacos, how they came to the USA, and how they became a huge part of American food culture.
According to many reputable historians like Jeffrey Pilcher, James Hardy, Ignacio Sanchez Prado, and Diana Gabriela Perez Valle, tacos were brought to the United States by Mexican immigrants and later adapted by American restaurants like Taco Bell, becoming a symbol of Mexican culture and a major part of American food culture.
So first, let's start off with where tacos come from. Historians aren't really sure of the exact date tacos were invented, but they do know wrapping food in tortillas has existed in Mexico for a very long time.
In the Bloomsbury academic blog titled The Taco, From Working Class Staple to Transnational Icon, published on September 19th of 2025 by Ignacio M. Sanchez Prado, a professor of Latin American Studies with a PhD from the University of Pittsburgh and a particular focus on Mexican cultural history, he asserts, tortillas did exist in pre-Columbian times, and there's a name for them in various Mesoamerican indigenous languages. We can infer that the basic idea of using tortillas for food existed before Europeans arrived. This demonstrates contextualization because, in the context of pre-Columbian Mesoamerica, it connects tacos to indigenous civilizations prior to European arrival.
However, not all historians agree on when tacos were created. In a Smithsonian Magazine website titled Where Did the Taco Come From?, written on May 3rd of 2012 by Katie June Fricine, a writer and editor who has done communications and journalism, who for this source interviewed Jeffrey M. Pilcher, a scholar of food history and has specifically studied Mexican food for 20 plus years, explains that the origins of the taco are really unknown. My theory is that it dates from the 18th century and the silver mines in Mexico, because in those mines the word taco referred to the little charges they would use to excavate the ore. This suggests that tacos may have actually been created later on in history. These two sources likely disagree because they focus on different evidence. Sanchez Prado focuses on how tortillas already existed in pre-Columbian times and were part of everyday life, while Pilcher focuses more on the earliest confirmed date in history of the creation of tacos.
Similarly, a website titled Who Invented Tacos from History Cooperative, published on November 14th of 2023 by James Hardy, a very experienced historian with a master's degree in history who has taught for 20 years at well-known American universities and schools. Hardy highlights that tacos were not created by a single person, but developed over time within indigenous Mexican cultures before Europeans arrived. Hardy suggests the genesis of tacos is shrouded in the mist of time, yet historians generally agree that they emerged long before the Spanish set foot in the Americas. The words shrouded in the mist of time suggest tacos were developed and crafted over time, not just invented in one moment.
These sources mostly agree that tacos come from early Mexican indigenous food traditions, but they explain the timing a little differently. Sanchez Prado and Hardy claim tacos existed long before Europeans arrived. Pilcher claims we cannot know the exact time when tacos were first created.
Even though historians disagree on the exact creation date, they all prove that tacos were already a part of Mexican life before coming to the United States. This matters because it helps explain how tacos later became a part of American culture.
Silver miners would put food on top of the tortilla or use it to wrap food.
Pilcher claims that the word taco was given later, but the idea of a taco already existed. Similarly, Hardy also claims the term taco itself is a puzzle wrapped in an enigma. So linguists suggest it originated from the Nahuatl word tlaco, meaning half or in the middle, referring to the way a taco is formed.
And the idea of the taco was nothing special. It was just a simple way to eat food like meat, beans, vegetables, and sauces at first. It wasn't any sort of revelation.
The article I just mentioned also claims people were doing this way before the dish was officially named taco.
Tortillas were also really easy to carry around and easy to eat without utensils like forks and knives. This made them useful as everyday food.
Tacos were especially popular in working class neighborhoods.
Street vendors sold them on street corners in places called taquerias.
So tacos were not anything fancy.
It was just cheap and simple food that people could eat while working or traveling.
Different regions in Mexico crafted their own style of tacos depending on the ingredients available to them.
Some places focused more on grilled meat, while others focused on vegetables or seafood.
Over time, tacos became one of the most popular and celebrated dishes in Mexican cuisine. Its amazing taste and practicality made it a dish everybody loved.
So, before tacos even stepped foot in the United States, they were already a part of people's everyday life. In Freycein's interview with Pilcher, Pilcher claims tacos first came to the U.S. in the early 1900s when Mexican immigrants started to move to the United States. Similarly, in Hardy's article, he mentions that tacos first came to the USA in the early 20th century. These two sources agree because both sources claim that tacos first arrived in the United States in the early 20th century.
And when they moved, they brought their food and culture with them.
And families continued to cook their traditional foods, including, of course, tacos.
Some of them even started to sell tacos in neighborhoods or small restaurants.
In Pilcher's interview, he highlights how these immigrants helped to introduce tacos to the U.S.
For many families, tacos were more than just food. They were part of everyday life.
Food can often be a way to help people stay connected to their culture and feel a sense of comfort and safety when they move somewhere unfamiliar.
As time went on, the popularity of tacos became increasing outside of those immigrant communities, meeting other people as well.
More and more Americans tried them and began to fall in love.
Eventually, tacos showed up in more cities and slowly became part of American food culture. This was just the beginning of tacos making their way into American food culture.
Today, tacos are popular all over the U.S.
You can find it in Mexican restaurants, food trucks, fusion restaurants, and fast food chains.
Pilcher explains that tacos spread so easily because they were simple and customizable. People could change the filling depending on local ingredients or whatever they wanted to fill it with.
This reflects the rise of processed fast food in America, where quick and inexpensive ingredients became more common.
Tex-Mex tacos, for example, often are hard-shelled tacos containing ground beef, lettuce, and cheddar cheese, unlike traditional Mexican tacos.
Pilcher provides another quote supporting this point. A lot of Mexican-American tacos are really adaptations of Mexican food to the ingredients that are available through the U.S. food processing industry.
There are also some different variations of tacos, like tacos árabes, which use pita bread instead of tortillas.
Then we have fusion tacos, like Korean barbecue tacos.
It mixes Korean food with Mexican street food traditions. This shows how tacos keep evolving as they spread to new places all over the globe, not just America.
In the mid-1900s, entrepreneurs in the United States began to sell tacos differently.
One example of this is a man named Glenn Bell.
After being introduced to tacos through Mexican restaurants in California, he opened the first Taco Bell in 1962.
Taco Bell introduced lots of Americans to tacos for the first time.
This was also possible due to the fact that tacos were now becoming fast food that people all across the United States could buy.
Taco Bell sells Tex-Mex food. This means it mixes Mexican cooking with American fast food.
An example of this is our hard-shell tacos with ground beef, lettuce, and shredded cheese.
Looking at a Lip Touch Foods article titled, "Is Taco Bell Actually Mexican Food?" A deep dive into Tex-Mex authenticity and cultural appropriation, published on May 8, 2025 by Levi Dawson, a writer for Lip Touch Foods, who writes articles about cooking tips and food topics with little outside information about him outside the website. He claims, the original Taco Bell menu featured primarily hard-shell tacos, burritos, and tostadas. These dishes were adapted to appeal to the American palate, often incorporating ground beef, shredded cheese, lettuce, and tomatoes, ingredients that are not traditionally central to Mexican cuisine. This reveals that Taco Bell modified some Mexican dishes to suit American tastes.
Even though those tacos are different from traditional Mexican tacos, it was through these that tacos gained popularity across the U.S.
Tacos tacos aren't just food. They are also a way to represent culture and community.
In Perez Vice's article, The Social Power of the Taco, for Folk Life, published on the 16th of March in 2020, she clarifies the importance of tacos in Mexican culture. She asserts that breakfast, lunch, and dinner, every stew ends up captured in a taco. In this way, the tortilla replaces the fork and the spoon. This confirms that tacos are an important part of daily life for people in Mexico, not just special meals.
This shows how tacos are connected to the daily life of many Mexicans and how they represent tradition and culture. Even something as simple as folding a tortilla has cultural importance.
In the U.S., tacos have a similar role.
For Mexican and Mexican American families, tacos play a role in keeping tradition alive.
And for other Americans, they are often an introduction to Mexican cuisine and culture. Tacos are a great example of how food can travel and change over time.
According to Pilcher, tacos used to be a common meal among Mexican silver miners and other working class people in Mexico.
Tacos are a great example of how food can travel and change over time.
According to Pilcher, tacos used to be a common meal among Mexican silver miners and other working class people in Mexico.
When these migrants came north, they brought the tradition of tacos with them, helping to make tacos become common street food in cities in America.
They were easy to make, easy to sell, and easy to eat.
Despite the changes in ingredients, the idea of tacos always stays the same.
Across several of these sources, they agree that tacos represent both tradition and change.
So the story of tacos is more than just food.
It's a story of migration, culture, and how traditions continue even in new places. Today, we learned how Mexican migrants brought tacos to the U.S.
And the evolution of tacos in American restaurants and fast food places like Taco Bell.
Today, tacos are eaten all over the country in many different forms.
Yet, they still represent Mexican culture and identity.
The history of tacos shows how food can travel and bring people together, combining people from different cultures.
Tacos impacted the United States by spreading Mexican culture, changing the way people eat, inspiring fast food businesses like Taco Bell, and becoming a symbol of how different cultures can mix and influence each other over time.
Next time you eat a taco, think about the history behind it.
Thanks for listening.